Joining me now is Brent Sadler. He is a senior research fellow at the Heritage Center for National Defense, as well as a former Pentagon official and Navy captain. Also here for the rest of the hour is Steamboat Institute Blankley fellow Kaylee McGee-White and former Utah Congressman, Fox News contributor, the author of Puppeteers, Jason Chaffetz. Thanks very much, everybody, for being here. Brent, give us your reaction on the state of affairs.
Well, thanks. I think first and foremost, this attack was very limited on from Israel. Attacked a similar target that took some hits from the Iranian attack last weekend, airfield for airfield, so to speak. Even though clearly nearby in Isfahan, there's also nuclear facilities. So it was a conscious choice by Israel to target that highly guarded city and airbase, but also a conscious decision to keep the strike limited in scope and also in significance by not going after those nuclear facilities. Yeah,
I mean, do you think that is because of the pressure that the White House has been putting on Israel in such a public manner, leaking phone calls of Biden and Netanyahu, with Biden pressuring him not to go into Rafah?
Well, I think the mistrust right now of the Israelis of this current administration are probably rightfully so very high. I'm dubious as to how much forewarning was actually given this White House by Israel based on that track record. But I do think American support does play a significant role in Israeli calculations. But also the Israelis know that this regime in Tehran, the mullahs, are facing a lot of domestic pressures. And so if they can agitate that at the same time making a strategic message that they can reach them, I think they'll go for it. And I think that balance was definitely in the Israelis' minds.
And Brent, there's a feeling out there that the strike from Iran last weekend was very transparent and indicating weakness on the part of the regime. I spoke with Reza Pahlavi, former Crown Prince of Iran, recently, who is urging an uprising. Let the people rise up in Iran to send the regime packing. Your thoughts on whether or not any of this tells us that Iran's regime is actually weaker than most people know?
Well, I do buy into that notion that the regime is very fragile, as most authoritarian regimes are. And it was no surprise that in the months leading up to the October 7th attack, there were a lot of protests. There were actually several suicide bombings. Iran is not a monolithic state that's very secure domestically. So there's a lot of fractures there. The last thing to do is to try to give them cause to tamp down from the top or to rally around the flag, so to speak. But the regime is very fragile. And I think this is very much in the minds of the folks in Israel. The real threat is Hezbollah, quite frankly, that the Israelis have to worry about.
And the Israelis are fighting Hezbollah on one side, Hamas on another side, and then the direct fight with Iran. Let me bring in our panel, Kaylee McGee-White and Jason Chaffetz, because, Kaylee, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that President Biden is now weighing more than $1 billion in new arms for Israel. The deal reportedly being considered would include transfers of $700 million in tank ammunition, $500 million in tactical vehicles, and about $100 million in mortar rounds. These sales would require approval from congressional leaders and could take months or years to be delivered. But we are seeing that, in fact, they are considering this. Your reaction and weigh in here.
Well, we'll see whether Biden actually goes through with it. The unfortunate fact is that the president is trying to toe a very fine line between doing what's needed in order to preserve American interests abroad and trying to win re-election. And for whatever reason, he thinks those two things are at odds. This is why we've seen over the past few months him temper his support for Israel, because he is extremely concerned about losing the support of leftist activists in swing states like Michigan, who will oppose his re-election campaign if he's seen as too sympathetic to the Israeli cause. So what we need here from the president is courage to stand up to his leftist flank and say, no, this is actually good for Israel, but also for the United States.
Yeah, it's a great point that you make. In fact, Ilhan Omar's daughter was one of the protesters at Columbia University yesterday. And I'm sure the pressure is coming from that flank on President Biden. Jason, you weigh in. Your thoughts?
Yeah, look, the President Biden is an extension of what President Obama did. It was one of appeasement. They're the ones that gave tens of billions of dollars and flowed money to Iran and tried to play soft with them. Appeasement doesn't work on the schoolyard when the bully is out there, and it doesn't work in politics. And it doesn't work because Joe Biden has tried to walk that fine line. And meanwhile, we don't have a strong leader that communicates with the world. I thought Israel's gave a proportionate response, but I'm tired of hearing an administration saying they're going to implement new sanctions. Yeah. Why haven't we implemented every sanction that we already have? Why do we allow them to continue to get the money to fight? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and also China supporting Iran is another issue. They're not held to account. Brent, weigh in on all of this, including this idea that we could be sending new armament to Israel.
Well, I think the panel is right. I mean, this administration's been trying to have it both ways, strong in support for Israel, at the same time undermining Israel in the eyes of their far-left supporters. And they are walking a fine line, but that fine line leads just to further chaos and destruction. And so a course correction is well past due on all fronts. And as for the munitions that are on deal, it should be expedited as quickly as possible because there are, as you mentioned, two fronts the Israelis are engaged in a ground war with. One is in Gaza against Hamas, which needs to be eradicated from Gaza and no longer cease to exist as a functioning terrorist organization. And of course, Hezbollah, which has thousands of missiles and mortar rounds and troops just to the north of Israel. Yeah. And that is a threat that needs to be confronted, and these munitions help.
I see. Okay, so there are so many threats. We are now getting reports that Iran has no, quote-unquote, immediate plans to retaliate. As of this morning, Iranian state media, as I mentioned earlier, calling this attack a failure. Your thoughts on what's next and whether or not we will see a retaliatory attack from Iran again?
Well, we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, there's still a few days before Passover. There could be more follow-up. Of course, it seems to be the Israelis will condition any follow-on attacks to what Iran does. And indications are that I think we're in a lull in the back and forth militarily. Now, the proxy war that's been going on for years now between Israel and Iran, I think that's going to continue. And the place that I would look is what additional actions we're going to start to see against the IRGC by Iran in places like Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Again, this seems to be the weak point of this Iranian regime in their regional efforts to undermine Israel's security. So I would think that would probably be a place that will continue to see the proxy war heat up in coming weeks.
You're saying the weak spot of the Iranian regime is what? The proxy regions?
The IRGC's leadership is key. Okay. So when when the U.S. took out Soleimani, it had an immediate effect, a tamping down of activities. Same thing occurred when Israel took out the regional IRGC commander in Damascus. And again, that's what elicited this very significant strike. And so when you're over the target, the flak is thickest, so to speak. Yeah. And the Israelis, by going after the IRGC, undermines Iran's ability to control and support their proxies. So you want to reduce the Houthis' ability to attack shipping, the Hezbollah's ability to threaten Israelis, and Hamas to operate. You take out the IRGC as that connective tissue back to the root of all this evil.
Okay, well said. Brent, thank you. Brent Sadler joining us this morning as we follow this breaking news. Stay with us. We'll be right back.